Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go down and make a memo. So click on the mail icon, hit create message, make a memo, and we're just going to put Chester. Yeah, put a little smiley face because we're happy. Alright, post that memo. Now we're going to go back to the Wii and go into our Wii options. Click on Wii settings. Now when this loads, look at the top right. You'll want to note your version. These tutorials are for 4.3U. If you don't have that version, I can't guarantee any of this will work for you. Let's go over to the internet settings and click on connection settings. We need to set up our connection. If you don't have an internet connection, this won't work. I'm doing a wireless connection and I have to manually set it up because the Wii can never find my internet. Type in the SSID and then hit the right arrow. In my case, choose your type of security. I'm using WEP. Alright, and now to put in the security code. Alright, once that's done, let's hit confirm, save, and OK. There we go. Okay, whenever it asks you for any Wii system update, you will hit no. If you do any updates, it will break your mod, so don't do that. Once our connection is established, you will want to go to the console information section and you'll see your MAC address at the top. You'll need to write this down on something and then we'll go back to the computer. Next you will have to connect an SD card into your computer to load the Letterbomb files onto. I'm using an adapter to connect the SD card to the computer. You might have an SD card slot, so you might not need the adapter. Once you have connected the SD card, you will need to format the drive. So you can do that by right-clicking and going to Format. And for the option, you should choose FAT32. And I just did 16 kilobyte chunks. After it's formatted, you will have to go to this Letterbomb website. I'm using Please Hack Me. And you need to type in your MAC address into the boxes. Make sure you selected the correct system menu version. In my example, it was 4.3U. And then check the CAPTCHA and cut the red wire to download the archive for the files you'll need. Alright, so once that is downloaded, you'll want to open that archive and extract it. I'm using WinRAR to extract. You'll select the SD card to extract it to, and then it should copy the files to your SD card, and it should look something like this. Next, we need to take the SD card out and go and put it in the Wii, and then restart the Wii. Okay, so I put the SD card into the Wii and restarted it. Now at the bottom right, go and check the mail and go back a day. Oh, there it is. So, I'm not sure why it didn't appear initially, but we need to open up this letter. And this screen stays open for about 30 seconds or so until it lets you get to the next part. Okay, so press 1 and press A to continue. First, we need to install BootMii if it's possible. So click BootMii, go to prepare a SD card and press A. Hit yes, continue. Alright, continue. Now go up to install BootMii as iOS. Hit yes, continue. Yes, continue. Alright, now return to the main menu and we need to install the homebrew channel. Yes, continue. Okay, so after that we are going to exit out of the installer and it should open up homebrew. Now on homebrew initially you won't see any apps or anything because we haven't put any apps on the SD card. So if you click the home button, you'll pull up this menu. And what you need to do first, before we do anything, is we want to make a backup in case you mess something up, and that way you can restore it. So we will run BootMii, hit launch BootMii. And for this part, if you don't have a GameCube control, you have to actually use the buttons on the Wii to navigate. So the power button will move to the next slot, and the reset button is like the select feature. So we are going to go over to the very right option with the cogwheels and hit the reset button. And the first option is to create a backup and put it on the SD card. So it's already highlighted. Select the reset button, and we should get this screen. Now what this is doing is it is backing up the like your current Wii system onto the SD card, so later we can restore it in case something goes wrong. That being said, if something does go wrong and you don't have a Wii where you can hook up GameCube controllers, then you might just be screwed. So always be careful when you're doing this stuff and just follow the instructions exactly as they are. Alright, so it takes a long time, but once that's finished, you will want to hit any button to exit, just the eject button, power button, whatever, and then hit the power button to go to the very last option, hit the reset button, and then hit the reset button to select the Wii main system menu. We're just going to turn off the Wii and take out the SD card and head back to the computer. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is connect your SD card back to your computer, and we're going to save the backup that we just created. So copy this nand.bin, keys.bin in the BootMii folder or files. And I just created a folder called White Wii Backup. This is for the white Wii I have. And I'm just going to paste those. And it might take a minute for you. This is a solid state drive, so it copies pretty fast. Okay, so now that's saved. Okay, now that we have saved our backup, the next thing we need to do is get some essential apps. So I will have a link to this archive. And when you download it, there is going to be a password, and the password is just Chester. Press OK. And then we're just going to copy the folders inside of this archive to the SD card. Okay, and once that's done, take out your SD card and let's head back to the Wii. So after you put the SD card in, go ahead and restart the Wii. Alright, let's go to the Homebrew channel. Alright, the first thing we need to do is go down to the iOS 236 installer and run this. Now, go to load, and you need to have internet connection for this. So your Wii should be connected from where you got the MAC address, but just make sure you have internet connection. So you will press 1 to install iOS 236. And on here you need to hit right on the D-pad and go to download iOS from NUS. Alright, now press A to start the install. Okay, once that's complete, just press any button to exit. Next, you will need to go to the D2X iOS installer and press any button to continue. Okay, so use the D-pad to make these selections, and you see we have the very first setting selected. Change that to the Beta 52 option like that. For your base, choose 56. For the CIOS slot, choose 249, and for the revision, do 65535. Now press A, and you should see that 2449 slot blinking. and then press A again. Okay, so you see that it's now highlighted green on the chart, so it was successful. Let's press A to continue. And this time, change the base to 57 and change the slot to 250. Now press A again. And should be blinking, which it is, and then press A again. Okay, so now we are done here. So let's go ahead and exit by pressing B. So we got those two iOSs, 249 and 250, because 249 will work with like 95% of the games, and then 250 we might have to use for certain ones. Okay, sorry about that, had a phone call. So back to this. Most games will run on iOS 249, and then there's like, they say there's like 5% of games where you have to run on iOS 250, so you might have to switch between the two. So let's go into that. First off, let's go into this multi-mod manager. This is a very useful app, and there's a few things we'll use this for. The first thing is, if we go into our iOS manager, this is the second option, you will see, let's see, on the very right it says currently loaded iOS 58 version 6176. Now, for the USB loader to load to back up Wii games and load them, we actually need to be on 249. So what you will do is you will move your cursor over to 249, and if you set it up correctly, you should be able to hit the home button on the Wii remote, and it was loaded it. Okay, now you see on the right it says iOS 249 is loaded. So we will hit B to back up. Now what that lets us do is if we go to our WAD manager, which on the Essentials in that folder, there's a WAD folder and it has a couple of WADs, just to demonstrate this. We need to go down to the WADs folder and press A. And you see we have two WADs here. So we have the USB loader and we have Super Mario 64. Oops, let's hit go back. All right, so I want to do all of these. So I will hit the plus button. Well, that didn't do all. Oh, I guess one does all. All right, and then press A after you press 1. And this just takes a minute to install the WADs. Okay, so now we want to back out of this. I'll just hit the home button. And hit the home button again. Okay, I want to get back to the Wii system menu, so I'll hit the home button and exit the system menu. Okay, so now you see from here on our main channel, before it ended at Homebrew channel, now we have the USB loader and Super Mario 64, which is one of the WADs. So you can just click it from here, and you could hit start and run the game. I'm not going to do that. And then, let's see, let's go right back here. The USB loader, which if you don't have a hard drive with the games on it, then you'll just get a blank screen. But if you do have it set up, which after this I'll make a video on how to actually set up a hard drive to have the backed up games on the USB loader. Okay, and on here you see I've got whatever games. What you can do is you can click on the image and download the covers. Okay, that took a little longer than expected. There we go, now I have cover arts. But yeah, the next tutorial I'll go into how to actually set up a USB drive for using the USB loader with. But if we go back to the homebrew channel, you'll see we also have a PlayStation 1 emulator. Now with this, I already set up the BIOS with it. So if you go into your settings, whenever you run a game, you'll select the SD card, boot through BIOS, yes, and you will execute through your BIOS. For some games, you'll have to turn on frame skip and just mess with the other settings because some games it just doesn't run right. For example, for Diablo 1, you need to have frame skip on or else all the audio is really choppy and bugs out. I'm going to show you how to put a PlayStation 1 game on here. So what we need to do is take the SD card out and put it back on the computer. Okay, so on our SD card, we have a Wii SX folder. That's for the PlayStation 1 emulator. We'll open that up and go into ISOs, and this is where you actually save the games. So right-click and paste. And as far as obtaining the games, there's a few different websites. I had personally used Portal ROMs, but to make you wait 100 seconds for every download, and honestly, all of these websites for downloading the games or the ROMs are really sketchy. I would use a computer that you're not afraid to get viruses on that you can just reformat after or something, because I really don't trust any of them. So after you copy that to ISOs, we're going to take the SD card out and put it back into the Wii and restart it. Okay, so we'll go back to the homebrew channel. And just like how we had a WAD file for the USB loader on the main screen to make a channel, there is probably one for the Wii SX. Those are called forwarders, I believe, but I just didn't look into it for the Wii SX. So I'll go to load ISO, load from SD, and I'm going to choose the bin file. I've never tried selecting the CUE file. I'm not even really sure what that's for, honestly. And go to settings. So like I said, for this example, I would select SD, boot through BIOS, yes. I would go to video, turn on frame skip, and that is all for this, for what I'm using. And I would hit play game. And you see, there it is. So in the next tutorial, I guess I'll show you how to actually set up a hard drive for the USB loader and how to put games on it. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching, and if this was helpful,
make sure to leave a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell button. And also donate to my Patreon and my PayPal and my bank account.